Most of us would prefer to be more positive than negative. Happiness is something that everyone would like to enjoy, right? But when we think of the word positive thinking, we think of it more of as like a floofy term almost, or something that's more like rose colored glasses. But what if I told you that there's some real hard science that shows that positive thinking is actually a skill that we can build and acquire that actually opens us up to more possibilities, helps us build more resources in life, and actually has long term impact on not just our mental health, but the rest of our lives? In this video, I'm going to share with you some key research and ideas that are going to help support you in creating more of this positive thinking, almost reprogramming your mind in this way to support you getting into a better place and to support living a better life. If you're new here, then my name is Dr. Elisha Goldstein. I'm an author, psychologist, and founder of the Mindful Living Collective. And I support people in finding ways and building skills on regaining a sense of personal control so they can focus more on what matters and actually enjoy life more. If you want to join a more in-depth coaching program with me, then you can click on the description in the link below and check that out. Okay, before talking about all the benefits of positive emotions and how we can begin to build them into our lives, I want to share the flip side, which is what is the purpose of negative emotions and how, in this particular way, how they can limit us. Now, negative emotions have a lot of benefits to us: fear, anger, frustration. This is all energy that we can harness and is all about our survival. However, so let's talk about that. We have these so that we can focus in on something and get into that fight, flight, freeze response so that we can ultimately survive. So these negative emotions contract us. And you probably know from your own experience, when you're getting heated or there's fear that's arising or you're getting angry, whether even it's in one of your relationships, we may be really unaware of all the choices and possibilities around us because our brain is narrowing in. So in other words, you may start just being reactive. Our brain goes down the road most traveled, not saying like, oh, here's a myriad of choices I can choose from right now. What's going to be the most adaptive choice in this situation? You can notice this in parenting with your kids. You can notice this in a workplace environment, or when you get an email that really triggers you, or if you're struggling with the news or whatever it might be. Our brain narrows for survival reasons, and we lose sight of all the choice points and the variety of options and possibilities that are around us. So what do positive emotions do? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here, I'm going to show you a study that, as you can see right here, came out quite a while ago, 2005, by Barbara Fredrickson, where she's a researcher at a University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and she started really studying, what's the impact of positive emotions? Like what can we do with it? And I'll provide links to all these studies below so that you can check them out for yourself too. But when we're talking about this particular study, so what did she do? She took 104, two experiments with 104 college students, right? And her intention was to show them a series of videos where she'd break them up into 5 groups, and 2 of the groups were shown videos that were meant to elicit positive emotions, joy and contentment. Another group, just neutral videos that weren't really of any consequence. The other ones were 2 groups that were meant to bring up feelings of anger or anxiety. And so you can see here, so she split them all up, and she talks about positive emotions here and her theory about how positive emotions help broaden and build, broaden our awareness and build towards the future. And when we look at this, so what did she do? Let's see. So if we look down here, let's skip over kind of stuff to the actual studies. She had participants were 104 university students, 66% women. When you're looking at a study, you also want to look at the amount of people in the study. That's helpful. So it's not like 5 people. We want to make sure it's somewhat generalizable, in these particular types of studies. So what did people watch? Let's see. Visual, 5 videotape film clips. One was of penguins. Yes, penguins waddling and swimming. That would create a positive emotion. Another one is of nature, showing fields, streams, and mountains. That would create contentment, right? Then she showed 2 additional ones. These were ones to create more negative emotions or uncomfortable emotions. Witness shows a group of young men taunting and insulting a group of Amish passers by in the street and primarily elicits anger and disgust. Cliffhanger shows a prolonged mountain climbing accident, primarily elicits anxiety and fear. And then, of course, the final one was just sticks. That's not meant to really do anything. So what happens here? these people elicited these emotions. And then what they did was they were asked then to um, think about times in their life when they also experienced these emotions. And then they were asked to share, like, what would they do in that situation? What's the action they would take? The intention of this was to see, like, does a positive emotion help people have a broader sense of actions, and do negative emotions have a less sense? So what did we find? She said the prompt she gave them was, take a moment to imagine being in a situation yourself in which this particular emotion would arise, the one you wrote on the previous page. Concentrate on all the emotions you would feel and live it as vividly and as deeply as possible. Given this feeling, please list all the things you would like to do right now. And then they were given a sheet and said, I would like to. And so what she found was, what was interesting was what she found was the group that showed the anger and the fear showed just, they gave a few actions that they would take. The ones that showed joy and contentment had a whole expansive amount of actions that they would take, showing that positive emotions, when we have positive emotions, we tend to have a broader sense of options and choices around us. So it follows that, and we have negative emotions or uncomfortable emotions, we tend to have a very narrow focus. We don't know as many choices that we have around us. We just take the road most traveled because it's all about survival. So it follows that it's a skill to be able to broaden our mind and see things, see the blessings in our life, or to be able to see things in a different light with a different perspective that might be more positive. To be able to train this helps us be aware of more choices and perspectives. And what that does is that inevitably helps us broaden the opportunities that are in front of us, which are real life things, real life actions in our lives. And that creates ripple effects on the days, weeks, and months ahead. Life follows. And so what kind of life do we want to create for ourselves at whatever age we're at? And so I just want to kind of share, I just want to go to another study here just so you have a sense of this. But I just want, before I even do that, I want to register that this is kind of making sense to you. And if you have moments in your life or thoughts that you want to take for a moment right now and express maybe like what you're appreciative for in your life, what brings you a sense of awe, what brings you a sense of gratitude for your life, go ahead and comment on it below. We can we can allow that to be a living wisdom, like a pool of goodness for us all to dip into. Of course, I'm not saying Pollyanna, just look at the rose-colored things. Yeah, difficult things can be happening in life, and also wonderful things can be happening in life. And so we're just giving that a little juice and fanning the flame of it. Something that I absolutely appreciate, and I know it's important to do, and it's a practice. Because think about it. When we're stuck in negative thoughts and emotions, if our nervous system is in that place, it doesn't care about our future. It cares about surviving in the moment. So it's not going to give us broad choices and expanded ideas around things, because it just needs to solve the problem in the moment. Okay, so let's look a little deeper into these studies. So we just went over this one, which was around the positive emotions broaden the scope of attention and thought action repertoires. So we did that one. A few years later, she came out and said, okay, so let's see what happens if we help people do a practice of loving kindness, which is, if you're not familiar with that, that's just a practice where we're visualizing people in our mind, from people that we care about to ourselves, to neutral people, to difficult people in our lives. And we're wishing them well, to be happy, to be healthy, to feel safe and protected. And so we're kind of visualizing this. And what she found is that also supports the creation of positive emotions, which also had greater effect on our sense of resourcing in our lives. So if we go back to an even earlier foundational study around this, we can look at Robert Emmons and Michael McAuliffe. They did a study that was about counting blessings versus burdens. If you look at this one, we'll go down to see, what we had here. They took 201 undergraduate participants, 147 women, 54 men, and they basically split them up to ask them, say, what we want one group to talk about and write about their blessings in their lives every day, basically like kind of their gratitude, and another one to recount their burdens or their hassles or their irritants. And what they found was in this particular study, and again, this was the beginning of a field called positive psychology, is they found that the groups that counted their blessings showed an increase in what was called subjective well-being, which was positive emotion and satisfaction with life, and the group that showed counting hassles showed a decrease in that. So there is something about focusing on what's good in life, even if you're also just aware, not to discount the challenges of life, but just shifting and expanding our focus. There's some real evidence behind the impact of that. We can have an intention around something, but the impact of it is shown by science and born from thousands of years of human experience. So then later on, we'll circle back again to Barbara Fredrickson. She comes back in 2013 and she says, is there neurophysiological impacts to focusing on positive thinking and emotions? And she put people into a couple different groups again, and she had them again do the loving kindness meditation, this time actually doing it as a meditation, and she also allowed a group to do it just as a written journal. Again, focusing on different people in our lives, sending them in our minds for them to be healthy, to be happy, to feel safe and protected, really generating and firing in our brains these positive areas of our life, of our mind. And so, and what she found there was people who came in with high vagal tone, which is the vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve that connects our brain to our heart. And when the tone measured by heart rate variability is up, we tend to feel better, happier. We tend to feel more energy. When it's lower, it's more correlated with anxiety and depression. And what she found was people who came in with higher vagal tone who were who focused on these loving kindness meditations, again, through meditation, through written form, showed increases in their vagal tone, showed increases in positive emotion, and showed increases in their perception of social connection, which is at the epicenter of well-being. So their ability to focus on what was good in a particular way, again, not by discounting the hassles and challenges of life, but by expanding their mind to shift their focus to pro-social actions, goodness towards themselves and towards others. They actually had a neurophysiological impact, which is correlated with feeling well in life, and that was part of the spiral up. Maybe a neurophysiological spiral up, which had real life implications, which allowed them to feel better, which we already have talked about the benefits of positive emotions. So that is some of the science behind why we want to encourage the skills of positive thinking. Now I want to talk to you about how to do it. So what are some ideas that we've garnered from this? One might be, if we look at Barbara Fredrickson's research, one might be that we want to start paying attention to things in our life that are uplifting, maybe, whether they're images or videos or memories in our mind that bring these sort of sense of joy and contentment. Whether you want to stare at things that go out in nature and just be in a more content environment, or whether you want to look and at baby animal videos, which just even the thought of it makes me smile and laugh, or anything that the environment makes an impact on us. So put yourself in an environment that supports joy and contentment. Look around you, the people that you're surrounding yourself with, and ask yourself the question, like, the people and things around me, are there places I can put myself that arouse a greater sense of joy and contentment? That's one thing that we can think about. Our environment, people and things around us. Can we put ourselves in places that arouse more joy and contentment, which includes different images we're looking at or videos we're looking at, things like that. That's one. The second thing we might want to think about is, do I have a journal or something I write of, or a contemplative practice where I am arousing a sense of appreciation or gratitude in my life? I ask people to, if they're doing a gratitude journal, to not only just write out the things they're grateful for, which is what Emmons and McAuliffe did, had its own benefit, but actually see if you can visit the memory of it, the experience of it, so it can be more of an embodied experience, which is going to have a deeper impact for you. And so that's the second thing. So if it's a gratitude journal or a contemplative practice where you're arousing that sense of appreciation and gratitude, allow it to be embodied. Okay. Third thing. The third thing is play. Make sure to play. Play is a thread of all my programs, everything I talk about. I run this personal coaching program called Uncover the Power Within. Within the curriculum of that program, There's a thread of play throughout that. Why? Because play has been shown to enhance a sense of novelty in life, which is great for positive neuroplasticity, positive brain change. It also allows us to be more flexible in our mind and more open to possibility. It arouses positive emotions. It's pro social in a lot of ways. So make sure to put time in your calendar for play. Play is something that you might not normally give yourself permission to do, whether it's playing an instrument or going on a walk in a neighborhood that you don't normally give yourself time to do, whether it's drawing or coloring, or whether it's just being with an old friend that you haven't seen in a while, or taking a walk on the beach or in nature, or going on a bike ride. What's play to you? And make sure to schedule time to do that. For a lot of people, they think about play, it's an unstructured kind of time. Well, our time is kind of structured nowadays, and that's okay. So within the hour you're going to give yourself, make it unstructured, allow yourself to explore. I'll also give you a link below to 183 different ways to play if you want to expand your mind on what the possibilities are around that. So to sum this up, positive thinking is not just about rose-colored glasses. It actually has hard science behind it. It can help us reprogram our minds to get into a better place and have a better life. It expands our ability to be more aware of the choices around us. It expands our ability to have the perception of the resources to support us in daily life, supports us in being more resilient, and it's a skill that we can all build and get better and better at. So find moments in your life to bring more of this positive thinking, to help reprogram your mind, whether that's meditation or whether that's writing and journaling, whether that's playing, all the different things that we've talked about here already. Give yourself this gift, whatever lifts you up. And when you do this, just know your brain will follow.